The train system in Barcelona is incredibly efficient, although it can be a bit hot and close and slightly smelly. We have found that using the trains to get most places is quicker most of the time than taking a taxi, unless it's during one of the quieter parts of the day. It is definitely worth using though as a resource. While it may seem cheap, when you convert it to New Zealand dollars it does work out to be a lot more. However, everything here is a lot more and it's normal, it's just that our dollar is not worth a lot in this country. Food here is plentiful. The hams, like in this place, you can buy by the leg or by the shaving and buy a cone of meat. However, we have been told by a tour guide at the La Pedrera, which is one of Gaudi's bigger projects, that the food has definitely turned more towards tourists, and what was available before the economic downturn was definitely more gourmet. Everywhere you look here you can see a large Art Nouveau and modernist influence. It's no wonder that Gaudi is one of the larger artists that people here are proud of. The swirling and organic lines are very indicative of modernism and Art Nouveau in particular. You can see a more pared down version here in these residential area buildings. Whereas in the city here you can see things get a little more decorative. I guess because there are a lot more tourists there, they can make a lot more money off it. It is beautiful though. It is something that is definitely eye-catching, and I think going home it's going to be harder to look at the more plain buildings that we have in New Zealand after seeing this every day. I think that there is a lot more care to protecting what is here in terms of their architecture and their sculptures, as they do need to make them to last and also look decorative and functional. Whether the buildings are older or newer, they all seem to fit into each other just because of the main influences of the Art Nouveau here, which is a dominating style in this city. And there are a number of museums dedicated to the different artists who run through that style or who have had influences in the city. The sculptures here of animals and people, while they are obviously way more massive than we are, you see more natural body shapes and lines, very rounded figures reminiscent of Greek and Roman times, which would, be obvious because it's Romanesque, I guess. But it's quite beautiful to see them, and you can see here the draperies on these are carved to look very thin. You can see that the sculptures, although worn by time and wind and rain, etc., the detail in these sculptures is kind of amazing. I mean, you can see the dimples in their knees and things, their elbows. You can see the creases in the clothing and the faces. And it's just breathtaking. Everywhere you look, there is something to see. You really do have to go here to see it all, because otherwise you're going to miss out. And there is actually not enough camera time to record everything and know where everything goes and be able to show everyone everything. While this city is beautiful, it does have a slight smell of sewage most places you go, which if you're from a country like New Zealand you will notice immediately. It also does have a big problem with unemployment. We saw many closed stores in prominent areas, and it wasn't unusual to see beggars everywhere we went, even having them come up to you while you were sitting and asking for money, as they were clearly down on their luck. Especially next to these luxurious stores, it just makes you wonder how this is a problem at the moment, although I do understand that Barcelona is going through an economic downturn. So this was our visit to Barcelona. It's definitely a lovely city. You can walk most places or take the train or a bus. There are sculptural aspects everywhere which are beautiful to look at even if you're not an artist. And amazing street performers like this one pictured here. And yeah, while it can be very expensive, I would save twice as much as you think you need. It is worth at least one visit in your lifetime, not to mention that Paris is over the border and you can go to Disneyland. I'll see you next week. Please like and comment below.